What is up, you guys? Marty McFly coming at you, bringing you guys the merch. So, I know what you're thinking. My God, what happened to the beard?
My eyes! And rev up those fryers, because I am sure hungry for one. Help! Help! My leg!
Yep, I had to shave. The beard had to come off. Now, I look like a 12-year-old boy. My girlfriend's best friend said I look like a penis. So that's where we're going today. I had to shave because I had to get my N95 refit testing and all that stuff. So of course, you need to shave. And today is going to be a very special video though. And it's something that, like, I know some channels hit it way sooner. Mine took a lot longer, probably because I don't edit my videos for the most part. I started editing here more now, adding new things to it. But for the most part, I think this is a very special moment for this channel because I finally hit 500 subscribers. This channel I started basically the pre-COVID, kind of like 2020, maybe even right at the beginning of COVID, 2020, 2021 is basically when I started this channel. So it's kind of cool that this channel's been around for 5 years. I hit the 500 subs mark, and you know, in the long scheme of things, I'm still going to keep doing what I'm doing. I enjoy doing this as part of the channel. I've met a lot of cool people through it. It's cool getting to talk to people about what bands they're interested in, their inspirations, what makes them happy. And it helps me reach out to more people in a different way, especially when you hit, you know, your mid-30s and going on with your life. It's getting harder and harder to do things with people. Like something as simple as just like, hey, do you want to just go outside and throw a football? That's getting harder and harder, right? So this is a different way that we get to communicate and meet other metalheads. And I've actually met other metalheads through this channel, which has been really, really rad. So I just wanted to give a big thanks to all of you guys out there for the 500 subscribers. I'm going to list some guys down below, some people that I've gotten to meet through this channel, and some people that even gave me a little bit of inspiration or even taught me about new bands. So to quote King Diamond, do you ever just go out and try to find new bands? Anyway, that's an interview he did about talking about trying to find new bands and going into a record store. And I'm going to put those guys below because those guys were people that I reached out to and talked to about when it came to new music, or even just like things about how to do your channel and things like that. For the most part, this whole channel's been DIY for me, and it's been an adventure, just learning what, you know, YouTube likes and does not like, and learning about video equipment and what I can do with my phone, what I can't do with my phone. So it's been an adventure. But in honor of the 500 subscribers, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite albums of 2026, and that is At the Gates, The Ghost of the Future Dead. If you're not familiar with this record, please familiarize yourself and listen to this a little bit further. This record is the very last to feature Thomas Lindberg, Tompa, rest in peace, brother. The very last record to feature his vocals before he sadly passed away from adenoid cystic adenocarcinoma. Really unfortunate cancer that he got, and he, you know, he's no longer with us, but he is certainly with us in spirit and in music. And you want to talk about one of the greats of the heavy metal world, he is certainly one of them. Tompa, we miss you dearly. We are very, very, very grateful that you were able to give us one last hurrah, one last metal horns, and one last record before you hung out in Valhalla. But this record is a wonderful finish for him to go out on. It is just such a blast. This reminds me so much of early At the Gates, and I think the band really came together. He finished his vocals basically before he passed on, and the band was able to write, you know, record the rest of it afterwards. But what a phenomenal album. If you're not too familiar with At the Gates, but you're familiar with modern, new wave of American heavy metal, modern metalcore, you have these guys to thank for them. You know, I can't put them in, I would never put them in the metalcore category, but this is essentially Gothenburg, you know, Swedish death metal, Gothenburg era, I guess you could say, type of music. And what these guys have accomplished is incredible as far as influence on the history of, and the future history of metal. And if you listen to what Killswitch Engage was doing, Darkest Hour, Trivium, man, you listen to some of these guys and you're like, wow, where did they get all these influences from? Even what Adam Duckowitz was doing before Killswitch Engage, you really hear these guys. You know, Terminal Spirit Disease and a lot of those early At the Gates records were just so instrumental in creating metal as we have it today. And this album is no different. This album really does capture, I think, what they initially were doing in the first couple At the Gates records. I mean, between the twin guitars from Anders Bueller and Martin, and what these guys were doing with the guitar licks and their riffs, the tremolo riffs, but the lead twin guitar harmonies that they were doing in this album, you can tell that they still have that early instrumental At the Gates of what has captured and influenced so many modern bands today. Now, if you're gonna ask which side of the record, I mean, you got A-side, B-side, right? You have the Fever Mask and then you have Tomb of Heaven. I like both sides equally, and I think they both offer a lot to the listener. I'd say if you want the more unforgiving, just heavy and dissonant and painful, the discordance of the record, I would go to Tomb of Heaven. If you want classic early At the Gates sound, I would go to Fever Mask. Some of my favorite songs on here, I'm sorry, you know, I'm calling it that, but if I were to go between, I would say the Dissonant Void, you know, A-side, I would say Dissonant Void really captures what you expect from an At the Gates album, and probably one of my favorite songs off the record. You know, if you go towards the Phantom Gospel, really kind of starts to hit a little bit of like the twin guitar harmonies and a little bit of melody, but then goes back into these really painful, discordant moments of the band itself. And then the finishing song, Black Hole Emission, kind of goes out on just this one last battle cry that Tompa gives you to finish the album on. Just one last battle cry, one last chugging riff before it tapers off into basically the blackness, which is really fitting with the title, Black Hole Emission. But it's a fantastic record. It gives you everything you want from an At the Gates album. My favorite song, it's so hard to choose because Parasitical Hive is fantastic, but I would say Dissonant Void was the first one that really captured my ear, that made me love this album so much. So one nice thing I'm really glad they did for this album is I did pre-order it on Amazon because I wasn't sure if my record store nearby was going to get it on time, and I really wanted to snag a copy of it. So it's kind of hard to tell, but this is like this really beautiful cerulean and teal colored vinyl. It's 180 gram, it's heavy as balls. Custom center labels obviously from the record itself, and it's really hard to tell. It almost looks black, but this is, when you shine it up to light, it turns into like a cerulean and teal colored, almost like a teal colored Game Boy, Game Boy Color, if you remember that. And they really did great packaging for this album itself. I plan on protecting this, that's for sure. And they really did fans, I think, a treat. You know, before his final send-off to Valhalla, I mean, I didn't even realize this until now. You get a massive poster that they did a great job. It smells good. Sorry. Anyway, but one last battle cry, one last hurrah for Tompa, and a beautiful, massive poster to celebrate the release of this album. I have no idea. I think this is like one of those odd 20 by 20s posters, but I'm definitely going to find a way to hang that. And really, if you're even remotely a fan of At the Gates, or you like some of the modern stuff in the new wave of American heavy metal, if you like what Trivium does, if you like what Darkest Hour does, if you like the Gothenburg scene of heavy metal, if you like any form of Swedish death metal, melodic death metal, you need to check these guys out, and you should check out this last album. You know, I would say overall this can go down as one of my favorite At the Gates records. I really loved what they did with Terminal Spirit Disease, Slaughter of the Soul. The Gardens of Grief EP is fantastic. And I would say Slaughter of Soul was the first record by them I ever heard. I really enjoyed At War with Reality. But if you guys are any form of a fan of the Gothenburg scene of Swedish death metal, melodic death metal, if you like the stuff that came with early Dark Tranquillity, early In Flames, you guys can't miss At the Gates. Like I said, they're so instrumental in the Gothenburg Swedish death metal scene, and so instrumental in heavy metal as we have today, especially in the American bands. But this is going to go down as one of my top records by them. I really, really enjoyed the listening experience with this album, and I love the cover. This needs to be framed. Anyway, that is it from me, guys. I just want to say thank you all for the 500 subscribers. Thank you for helping me make this channel grow. I hope to get to talk to all of you soon and get to share things and new bands and new experiences that you guys have had. I really hope we get to share these things as time goes on. So thank you guys again for that. Rest in power, Tompa. We miss you dearly. We hope you are, and we hope you are there in Valhalla and enjoying your time up there. Maybe one day we'll get to cross paths together in Valhalla one day. In the meantime, that's it for me, guys. Peace.